Well, hi there. It is the 29th of May. It's Wednesday. Uh, Journal 63, and T+57, almost 2 months, which is exciting in and of itself. We were up this morning to watch the sun rise. Actually, we were up before the sun decided to rise. It was magnificent. It was a beautiful gift. If would have been maybe just as satisfying if somebody took a picture of it and uh, showed it to us. It was awfully early to be up and head to the hospital for Lesley's epidural. And it was fascinating being in the hospital with Lesley, in the role of patient advocate, caregiver, however you want to put that. Because the tables were turned, obviously for the last, God, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, 5.5 years. Lesley's been very, very cautious, and we has been watching me very carefully to ensure that I stayed as well as I could for as long as I could, and then throughout my great adventure of the stem cell bone marrow transplant, and it felt good being able to reciprocate. You have to understand that in the context of the fact that I would really rather she didn't have to suffer with back pain, which is something that I'm familiar with and that so many other people are. And it really, that part of it was gratifying, being able to take care of her for a change, which I felt has been my role all along. And we got to the hospital, we went through the admitting process, we got into the preparation for the procedure, and met the doctor who came in, and then met the anesthesiologist. It took longer than either one of us thought it would, uh, but nevertheless, everything turned out to be okay so far. We're going to find out as time goes on what the result's going to be. Sometimes it does take a while, and we were made aware of that. But being in the hospital brought back all kinds of holographic images of my admission to City of Hope, and we visited a person who I met through this blog, actually, who just started her transplant um, process, just had the conditioning chemo, finished that up, and I think her new birthday is going to be tomorrow. You have to let me know, Rose. And but just being back in that environment brought back all of these holographic images of the hospital stay, and it was fascinating on a lot of different levels. Um, I remember having back pain. I'm going to do this backwards, I think. I remember having back pain. I remember the epidural. I remember the whole process, only I didn't get sedation. Um, but I couldn't, I could describe the pain to you, but the holographic brain will not allow you to experience that pain a second time. I was in the hospital with a bone marrow transplant patient, got to see the IV tree with all the bags hanging, and remembering, because it wasn't that long ago, remembering what that looked like and what that felt like. Um, I remembered the lesions in my throat and in my mouth. I remembered the pain. I remembered asking for all kinds of different pain medications, up to and including morphine, something I swore I'd never do, uh, and almost begging for it just so that I could get some respite from it. But you don't feel that pain a second time. And Lesley loves to say that if you remembered pain, if the your memory was as good with that as it is with other things, if you remembered that, then women would only have one child. They would never have a second child or a third. Uh, but it was interesting being back in that environment again and having it all just come flying at you. It's a powerful emotional experience. And I think that's one of the reasons that the community is so strong at the City of Hope when it comes to stem cell bone marrow transplant patients, regardless of why you got the transplant. I think that's why thousands of people come out every year for a celebration of life, because it's a shared experience uh, that we all have endured, I guess is the best word, and lived through, and been fortunate enough to come through successfully. And which is what our hope is here, what Leslie's hope and my hope is for me. Um, just as I hope that she's going to recover quickly and completely from um, the epidural and the pain in her back. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the lesson here is exactly. I know that part of it is that if somebody survived whatever it was they went through, an epidural, um, stem cell bone marrow transplant, chemotherapy, whatever, if someone survived it, then there's no reason why I, meaning uh, all of us, can't have a positive attitude towards whatever that negative experience is going to be, recognizing that it's not impossible. Couldn't be impossible if somebody did it already. Um, and I think that's important. I think that's important to recognize in life in general. Um, I think the worst kind of limitations we experience um, as creatures on this planet is self limitation, is deciding that we can't do something before we find out whether or not we can. And it goes back to that Churchill quote that I have written down, but I always wind up paraphrasing it, and that is that in every person's life, there will come a time where they're called upon to do the extraordinary. How sad it would be if, when that moment came, they were unprepared, uh, or unwilling, or unable because they chose to be unable. So I guess the important thing to recognize is that there's probably nothing that we can't do if we approach it with a positive attitude and the knowledge that somebody else has already done it and done it successfully. And I think that's the note I'd like to leave you on tonight, is that I'm not sure that impossible is a viable is a viable concept. Everybody thought the 4-minute mile was impossible. Everybody thought climbing Mount Everest was impossible. Everybody thought cancer was a death sentence, and now you hear more and more all the time about people living with cancer, and or a cure. So think about that for a bit. Stay well. Take care. I'll let you know what my numbers are tomorrow after I've been through clinic. Look forward to being with you again then. Bye-bye.